in Kent. My name's Jonathan Jennings and I'm a priest on the staff team at St Margaret's, and each lunchtime we try and bring you a thought or two, a reflection about our faith and about the world and how the two intermingle, collide and otherwise interact. Today I want to talk about the parable of the Good Samaritan. It's a well-known story Jesus tells about a man who travelled a very dangerous road between Jerusalem and Jericho and didn't travel as part of an organised party, was discovered and beaten up by thieves and robbed and left by the roadside in a pretty parlour state. And Jesus tells how two people went past, one a priest and the other a lawyer, and who, as in Jesus' words, passed by on the other side of the road. They made sure that they could avoid him so that they wouldn't have to become involved. And so there he lies when the third person comes along, a Samaritan, who, as we know, takes him up, treats him, binds his wounds, places him on the donkey, and then takes him to an inn where he leaves him with money for his care, promising to come back and sort if more is required. And the story works on a number of levels. First, it's a story against the priest and the lawyer who left the man in trouble. Second, it's a story about how the Samaritan, who was someone who those listening to the story in Jesus' day would not have expected to become the hero of the story. He was someone who believed in God in much the same way as they did, but slightly differently. And part of it was down to a difference between which mountain God should be worshipped on. The Samaritans didn't believe it was the mountain in Jerusalem. They believed it was another one. And because this was a slight difference, of course, it became all the more important. And the Samaritans were rejected as a people and as participants in God's promise, certainly in the minds of those to whom Jesus was telling the story. So to be told that the Samaritan was the person who came to the aid, it's quite a shock for his hearers. And we need to remember that this story was told in answer to the question that was asked of Jesus, "Who is my neighbour?" And that question had been asked by someone who'd heard Jesus say that we had to love God and love our neighbours as ourselves. So when the Samaritan comes to help the man who's sick, Jesus is saying that neighbour isn't limited to those we know, those we love, those we like, those we believe the same as, those we share a religious heritage with. It is someone whom we can help. And so the story is told against the priest and the Levite because they weren't able to help because they had mentally put the problem on the too difficult to deal with pile. It was much easier to skirt the problem and walk away conducting their own business with their own priorities and leaving the problem to someone else. It was the Samaritan who responded, who showed that love to God and to neighbour. And it's a lesson and a warning to us. What are the problems that we have placed on the too difficult to deal with pile? Even if we think we've only put them on the too difficult to deal with for now pile, we too are tempted to do that skirting business, to walk round on the other side of the road and leave those who need our help and our support where they are. And it's also a lesson for us to make sure that we look at those who are other, those who are different from us, those who believe different things in different ways, those whose politics doesn't measure up to ours, those who don't understand our own heritage, those who don't know the journey we've been on any more than we know theirs. It's a reminder to us to see in everyone the potential for good and to see in everyone both the need to help them and the idea that they too can be a help to us and to everyone. So the prodigal son teaches us a number of things about being restored to God, and the Good Samaritan teaches us to look for, to celebrate, and in some ways to expect the good of others, because they too are God's children, walk in his way and follow his light. Thank you very much for joining us. We're back tonight with night prayer at 8 o'clock. Morning prayer is tomorrow morning at 7:30. And our next service of Holy Communion is on Sunday at 10:30, and that's live from St Margaret's Church. Thanks very much indeed for joining us today. Hope you can join us again soon.